Hi, this is Rishabh Rajan for Ask.Audio reviewing the IK Multimedia UNO Drum Synth. This new drum synth from IK has the same form factor as the UNO analog synth. This one's a hybrid analog and PCM design. It's a very light and portable machine. If you like the UNO synth, then you're definitely going to love this. The drum machine can be powered by 4 AA batteries, and we have those included here. It can also be powered via USB, and there's a cable included for that. No power adapter though. I've noticed the battery does die fairly quickly, though this may be due to the quality of the included battery. Maybe some nice Duracell ones would run a bit longer. Not a big fan of this poster style manual, but the device is fairly straightforward, so you won't be spending that much time with it. Alright, so here's the drum machine. I like the black and white design. Maybe the hybrid nature of the machine is implied in this color combination. Okay, so let's look at connectivity. It's not that extensive. There's a switch here to power the device either via USB or the internal battery. As you can see, it's powered on now. There's a USB jack. You do get MIDI via USB, but not audio. There's a 5-pin DIN MIDI connection. The adapter for this is included in the box. Then on the right, you get 3.5mm jacks for audio in and out. No individual outputs for the drum elements. At the back here, you can see the battery compartment. Alright, so let's now have a listen to the UNO drum. You get 12 drum elements on these pads here. 6 of them can be analog sounds, and then the other 6 are PCM digital samples. Only the bottom row has access to the analog sounds. The top ones are PCM only. The sounds can be easily changed. I can click on sound here, and as you can see, it says AN for analog. I can change that. So there are 4 additional PCM sounds for each pad. So that's the bottom row. Let's check out the top row. Here it's only PCM samples. You can create your own kits or use any of the 100 included kits. I don't think you can load in your own samples, at least not yet. IK is planning on putting out a librarian software, so you never know. Here you can access the 100 different sequencer patterns. The kits and patterns are saved separately. So for example, I can load in a kit here, number 1, and pattern number 93. Since the pattern and kit are independent, I can change out the pattern and keep the kit. Alternatively, I can keep the pattern and change out the kit. Now the pads here are, well, not really pads. They're just membrane-like area for each drum element. It doesn't have any velocity sensitivity. There is a pseudo velocity sensitivity feature. In this Alt menu, here you can see pad velocity, which is set to on. So what IK has done to simulate velocity sensitivity is to divide each pad into 2 halves. The upper half triggers a higher velocity and the lower half a lower velocity. So I could play like this. But again, not the best way to get a dynamic performance. I'm going to go into the Alt menu and turn that feature off. Let's now talk about the sounds. You get some controls here to tweak each sound. There's a basic level control here, tuning for the drum, snap or the attack of the kick, and lastly the decay. There are a few more controls. If I hold down the drum button, some secondary options are now available. The first one is just for the analog snare, and the next 2 are just for the kick 1 sound. They are controls for frequency modulation, FM amount and FM pitch. Nice. Then lastly, there's pitch decay. So that was kick 1. For kick 2, we don't have these secondary controls. You can see it blinks, letting us know that it doesn't work. We do have the main parameters, so all those work. For the snare, we have the 1 secondary control, the low-pass filter, which affects the noise element on the snare. And then that's the only secondary control for the snare. Let's get rid of that FM on the kick. Alright, that's a nice kick. Now when it comes to digital samples, the tweakability is a bit limited. The level control works. Tuning also works. You might notice some aliasing there when I change the pitch. This might be because of the sample rate on these samples. Snap isn't available, but TK is available. Alright, not bad. Alright, let's now take a look at the sequencer. There are 16 steps here, but it's a 64-step sequencer. With the length option, I can adjust the pattern length. This one is set at 32. When I play the pattern, here you can see we're on the first page, then go to the next page for the next 16 steps. To see the page, just tap the button here. The pattern length cannot be adjusted for individual parts, which is a bit of a bummer. There's a mute option, so I can individually mute sounds. I can even slide across to mute or unmute multiple sounds. Pretty cool. Unfortunately, there isn't a solo option. The select option will let me select a sound without sounding it. So while the pattern is playing, I can quickly select a drum element and tweak its parameters. If it was off, selecting a pad will trigger the sound. Let's tweak this cowbell. These parameters can be automated. So I just need to turn on record here. And now as it's playing, I can tweak a parameter which will get recorded into the pattern. Make sure to turn off recording or else the automation gets erased. Now one odd thing you will notice about this automation is that it's pre-quantized. It may not be noticeable on that short cowbell sound, so let's try it on a longer sound. This one would work. Okay, so let's record the FM pitch. Oh well, I just realized FM is only available on kick 1. Anyway, let's do pitch instead. I'll mute the other kick so we can hear the automation better. It sounds smooth now when I'm tweaking it. So let's go ahead and record this. Alright, now let me mute all the other parts so we can hear this even better. Hopefully you can hear that stepping on the automation. Now most of the real-time input does get auto-quantized like this. There is no user quantize feature, which can be an issue if you plan to record parts in real time. Okay, let's try out recording parts in real time. I'm going to enable the internal metronome, which will be heard when in record mode only. So when I hit record and tap play, we hear the metronome. I'm going to change the pattern length. Let's go with 32 steps. So you'll notice two things here. One is a very obvious flam effect on each element, and second, my performance is perfectly quantized. Let me demonstrate that again. I clear out this pattern. I'm not sure there's a way to just clear out one part, but for now I'll just clear out the whole pattern. An undo option would be great. Alright, so I'll record again. Again, same flamming issue while recording, and also the performance is now perfectly quantized. I'm not sure if I really like that. I would at least like to control that quantization instead of having the machine auto-quantize it for me. Anyway, let's tweak some parameters on the hi-hat. You'll notice the hi-hat tuning doesn't have a wide range. Let's try the snare. I'll swap it out with one of the PCM samples. That's a nice long one. Alright, let's try recording some modulation on the pitch of that snare. Now you probably noticed that some of my automation got overwritten. That's because I had the record button on. So it's important to get out of recording mode immediately. Let's listen to this in isolation. So here you can clearly hear the stepping of the pitch automation, which is kind of cool, but again, as a default, it may not be the best option. Again, real-time flamming and auto-quantization. Now you can always choose the step input instead of recording parts live. I'll have to get out of record mode to step input values. Pretty straightforward. Let's now check out the effects section here. There's a one knob compressor. It's supposed to be an analog compressor. Next is an analog drive. Keep in mind this is affecting the entire mix. You can't add these effects on individual drum elements. Next there's the stutter controls, which is a real-time effect that can be engaged here. Let's change the stutter type, stutter amount. Can we record this stutter? Let's find out. I guess not. Okay, not bad. Next here we have a roll effect. And I can change the rate of the roll. I believe the roll can be recorded. Nice, so that's the global effects and the roll effect. More controls here. Swing. At 70 it's maximum, and at 50 there's no swing. We can change the subdivision. So now it's a 32nd note division. Let's hear that slower. I can also change to a 6/8 feel or a 3/4 feel. Next, there's humanization, which is self-explanatory, randomly changing the timing to mimic a live performance feel. Now the velocity for some reason doesn't work, it just says UNO. Maybe this is still in development, or I just don't know how to access it. But that's basically the IK Multimedia UNO drum machine. Not insanely powerful, but good enough to get some basic ideas down. I like the analog sound elements. If you don't like the internal sequencer, you can always send it MIDI and externally sequence the parts. At a street price of $250 US, it's quite a good deal, especially if you need something small, portable, and a good sound engine. Okay, so that's it for me. Let me know your thoughts on this drum machine. This is Rishabh Rajan signing off, and I'll see you in the next one.